Hello girls and guys, Roman Konrachev here with you today, and today I would like to share with you some of the most common injuries that may happen to a person when performing calisthenics. So I'm just sharing what I think is the most common, what I see happen to people most commonly, and just keep in mind that it's a little disclaimer I want to put out. I'm not a doctor. I'm just an athlete who has had lots of experience with training calisthenics, and I just want to inform what may happen if you don't train properly. So let's get into the discussion. Let's go. First injury on the list is the pain on the inner side of the elbow. Right about here, about here, about here. I'll show you from all the various angles. About there. Usually this pain is a result of overworking the wrist flexors and finger flexors on the chin-ups, pull-ups, and also quite often on the false grip muscle-ups. Second injury on the list is the pain that occurs about here on the outer side of the elbow. Right here, about there, right there. This injury is usually referred to as lateral epicondylitis or the golfer's elbow. It most often occurs from doing too many pushing or pressing or forearm extension exercises, such as handstand push-ups, handstands, or any dip variations, or doing too many narrow grip push-ups. Anything that overworks the triceps. This usually occurs very often in those movements if you do too much. Next we have the wrist injury, and this pain usually occurs about how do we put this, about here. It may occur in various places, but usually it's felt around this region right here, about there. Wrist pain is a very common occurrence in many calisthenics newbies because they don't possess the ability to extend the wrist so that when the wrist is parallel to the forearm, they don't have that capability, and therefore too much strain is placed on those wrist extensors. So this is one reason for that pain, and the other common reason for this pain is when a person trains too much calisthenics with their flat palms on the ground instead of focusing on variations that may be done on parallel bars. For example, you can do handstands on the ground, but you can also train handstands on parallettes. And when you train everything on the flat ground, your wrist extensors are taking even more beating, and there's much more room for injury of the wrists, in my opinion. We have the pain of the palm, and usually it occurs right about there, here or here, about there. The next injury is the pain on the palm, and this usually occurs very often during dips or any other exercises where parallel bars are involved. When a parallel bar digs into your palm excessively, too much times or too often, your inner palm will hurt, the bone will be bruised, and over time this may lead to bursitis. Not good. Next in line we have the anterior part of the shoulder, and the pain is usually experienced somewhere here. It may of course differ on the region, but usually it's in the front part of the shoulder. This is usually an indication of a rotator cuff injury, and it happens when there is too much internal rotation of the shoulder. It's very common during push-ups when the elbows flare outwards to the side, also on bench press in powerlifting, and it is also very common during muscle-ups, during the transition phase, when the upper body gets over the bar and when the person throws their elbows forward in order to perform the dip dip portion of the muscle up. Usually it can also happen on plunge variations when there is too much scapular protraction forward. When this happens, there is also too much pressure on the shoulders, and it may also lead to an injury. Following, we have the pain that may occur on the rear side of the shoulder. So right about here, about there, in the rear delt. Rear delt pain, or the pain on the back of the shoulder, commonly occurs when there is too much scapular retraction involved in your training. This is very common during front levers, front lever pulls, front lever rows. This may happen also on inverted rows. And also, by anecdote, it is commonly encountered on one-arm chin-ups or static holds, or like one-arm static chin-up hold at the top. At least this is what happened to me. Next on the list are chest pains, and these usually occur about here, about there. So usually on the outer side of the chest, if you use the bro terminology. If you experience any sharp pain near the armpit, so where your shoulder meets your pec in bro terminology, you should watch out for this, because this may indicate that you have strained or pulled, or in the worst case scenario torn, your pectoralis major, and hopefully the strain is not related to the tendon. But this commonly occurs during heavy weighted training, heavy weighted dips, heavy weighted push-ups, especially when utilizing a wide grip on those exercises. Next, we have bicep pains, and these bicep discomforts usually occur when it's time to worry. Is usually, let me flex the bicep, about here, about there somewhere, right here, or it may also happen at the distal point, about here. But I would argue that this is more common, right about there, not in the middle, usually on the outer side, outer edges of the bicep. These are usually indication of distal or proximal bicep tendon injuries, and they very commonly occur during supinated grip back levers, during straight arm elements such as plunge, for example, on parallel bars especially. These may also occur on steel rings when you're practicing that iron cross or anything of that sort. And they may also occur during when the bicep is stretched and when you're exerting force from that bent arm motion. So, for example, when you're performing a Hefesto or following are the low back strains. So it's just you have your low back and you may feel pain right about here. You should worry more if you have pain right in the center of your spine. So this is a call to worry much more about any sharp pains or discomforts, as opposed to pain on the side. So because here you have your erector spinae, your low back muscles, extensors, and if these are in pain, you probably overwork them and it's not that serious. But of course, you need to consult a professional doctor. Low back pain commonly occurs due to the inability to flex the shoulders fully and the lower back having to round. It's very common in the handstand push-ups, a banana handstand, tiger bands, and it's also very common during the reverse pullover that you see over here as well. Lastly, on the list, we have some neck pain and discomfort, and this usually occurs on the back side of your neck. So about here, about there is where you may feel discomfort. The main source of discomfort for me have been handstands, where my head is too extended in a handstand, so it should be less extended ideally. Hopefully this has been of use to you. Hopefully you learned something new from this video, and now you have this arsenal of knowledge which can help you prevent injuries in calisthenics. Hopefully nothing serious ever happens to you in training. And remember, always listen to your body. If something hurts, if something is straining, don't train through the pain. Stop right there, analyze the source of the pain, mitigate it, go to see a doctor. If you are injured overall, see a doctor. Make sure you get the right diagnosis. Get an MRI if there's anything serious. And from there, go and perform the rehab and come back stronger than before. Don't skip out on warm-ups. Don't skip out on rehab. Don't skip out on just like on, as I said, warm-ups. Don't do stupid shit. Don't do random calisthenics skills like without any warm-up. As I'm saying, warm-up I have already mentioned 3 times. I'm just trying to save you from injuries. And without further ado, what can I say? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Comment down below in the video, or you can also write to me directly. You can send me a message on Gmail. I will be glad to answer any questions. And if this video has improved the quality of your life, if you believe that this video will improve the quality of the other people's lives, consider donating and improving the quality of my life as well. Without further ado, take care, stay glorious, stay victorious, stay positive, no negative thoughts, positivity, moving forward every day. Let's go!